Hey everybody, so I wanted to walk you through the process of using Cami, the free version, particularly with Google Classroom as both a student and a teacher. So I have a scavenger hunt that we use to kind of help kids walk through it. However, now that we're virtual, it's a little bit different. So in terms of being in Google Classroom, you just need to post the file. They don't need to have a copy. They just need to be able to view the file. Okay. Now, sometimes when you've signed up for Cami, you get this option for a Cami assignment. That is for the paid teacher version. So don't do a Cami assignment. Just do a regular assignment where kids can access a Google Doc. They don't need a PDF or anything like that. Okay. Then before kids get started, okay, so before a kid is ever going to log onto Google Classroom and try to do this in Cami, they need to download the extension. The easiest way is just to search for Cami extension. It 99% of the time is the first one that pops up. And of course, if your school has not vetted this already, please make sure. It's great for secondary. I think the privacy policy is actually for 4th through 12th. But just double check with your school and your settings. Now mine says remove from Chrome because I already have it added. But this is what it would look like for kids to add Chrome. It's going to ask, are you sure? You say yes. And it will get added into your extensions. Now the extension itself is this purplish circle with a K in it. I prefer to pin it because I do use it frequently. So that's just the way I would recommend it. So once kids have opened up the doc, okay, so they've clicked in Google Classroom, they may not have access, that's fine, they don't need access. All they do is they come and they click on this K. It's going to pop them into the Cami extension. I had already logged out, but it logged me back in, sorry. So we are a Google district, so I'm showing you from the Google perspective. We click Google and our school account, for those who are new, it's going to ask you to allow. So just make sure to scroll down and hit that green allow button. And then teachers, you'll have 4 choices. You have open from Google, open from computer, create a classroom assignment, but remember that's for the paid version, and then new blank page. Students only have these 3 options. Obviously, they don't have the option to create a Google Classroom assignment. So we are going to open from Google Drive. And we are going to find our document within Google Drive. I do want to point out that students must have already opened up their document in order to make sure that it populates in here. Okay, so just make sure of that students have already opened up the document. They hit select. It's going to bring them into the Cami kind of work page. And this is going to be the same whether you're a student or a teacher. Anything locked is with the premium version. But I feel like Cami is robust even without having the premium version. So what the main tools are the Markup Tool, where we have students highlight the words that start with P in yellow. So we have Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, how many peppers did Peter Piper pick? So under the Markup Tool, right, this is over on the left, you have 4 options. And if you hover over any option, it tells you exactly what the tool is for. So we want the highlighter, and we want yellow. You have 9 color options. But if you don't see the color that you want, you can click on this palette, and you can set a different color. So let's say I know I'm not going to use white. So instead of white, I want this to be, let's go with black, and save it. Now when I come to my palette, I have this option. So you can change some of the color choices. But for this, I want yellow. And then just highlight like you normally would, of clicking and holding. Oops, A is not one. If that is the wrong letter or you need to undo one, you have the undo button up top. But notice when I hover, I get some options. I can change the color. I can copy. We don't really need to do that. I can leave a comment or I can remove. So I'm going to delete it. So again, continue with my P's. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, I've completed highlighting all of my P's in our tongue twister. So the next one on my scavenger hunt is to use the box highlighter. Really all this does is put a colored box behind whatever you highlight. So we're going to do the instructions for the scavenger hunt in green with the box highlighter. Notice right now I'm on yellow, so I need to change my color. I'm coming up to my instructions, and you just drag whatever you want to be highlighted. Now the nice thing with this, if I go back to my select tool, if I messed it up, I can adjust exactly how much I've covered. I can move it. Again, I can change the color. I can choose instead of fill, I can just do a box around it maybe. But I want it filled. And then I can choose the opaqueness, the opacity. So I can do 10%, I can do 100% or 90%. So you have some kind of variation within there. The default is 30. So that gives a highlight, but it's not going to completely block out the words. Our next tool says Underline, Cami, in red. Well, notice we're still in the Markup tool, shifting to Underline, and we want red. Again, you just kind of click and drag, and then the underline will appear. I have the same options to change the color. I can trash it if I made a mistake, any of those. And last, for our Markup tool, we'll use the strike through, and we're going to strike through scavenger hunt in black. So I need to choose black. Again, I'm going to highlight, and it will strike through the word for me. So this could be great for ELA and annotations there. Next is our comment tool. The comment tool essentially acts like the comment tool in Google Docs. Any place that I click, so let's say I want to make a comment on the word document. When I do that, a comment box appears on the side. Now, if you have the paid version, you can do voice typing, voice to text, which is great. But otherwise, are you sure you spelled this right? You can make a comment, the kid can make a comment, and then click off and it's right there. But notice it's associated with this word, okay? Next is a text box tool, which is just like you would have in Google Slides or in PowerPoint. You can choose your font size. You don't really have control over the font that you're using. It's just a basic font. And then you have your colors. So I'm going to do blue and size 24. I'm going to make a text box. My favorite holiday food is turkey. You can move this around by dragging it. You can resize it if you need to, or you can trash it. So it's pretty similar to the way that you would use a text box in any other tool. The drawing tool, you have stroke thickness, so how thick your pen is. Do you want it really skinny? Do you want it thicker? A lot of times I use this to sign documents because I don't have a signature PDF program. So we are going to draw a flower. You also have transparency. Do you want it opaque? Do you want it transparent? You have the option. I want two colors for my flower. So I have very thin stem. And then let's make a red flower. So maybe if I wanted to fill that in and I wanted it to be a little bit more transparent, I could do that. Control Z still works for undo as well. There's my flower. It's beautiful. And last, we're going to do the purple box, green circle, and orange line using our shapes tool. So you have several different options. They've now added a triangle. That is a new feature, which is great. Again, you have the stroke thickness, so how thick your line is. You have the transparency, and then you have your colors. So I'm going to do a purple box. And just like most other tools, art tools, you click and drag. Now the nice thing, when you hover, let me choose select, when you hover over it, you again have that option to change the color. But if you want to fill it, you can do that as well. So I think that's great. You have your opacity, excuse me. So you can kind of change that. And then if I decide I don't want it, I can trash it. So there's my purple-ish box. I really need to change the color on that. That's a little bit more purple. Well, I don't really have a purple. So let's go down here and look at my palette. I have 3 of the same kind of pinky purples. Let's change it to this color and let's save it. And now, when I come in and click on my box, I have a little bit better of a purple option. Okay, next is our green circle. Again, circle and then click your color. I'm not going to make this filled in, although I could. And then last, I'm doing an orange line. I don't really have an orange, so again, you can go to your more colors by clicking your palette. This is really kind of more of a gold, and I want more of an orange. Save it. And there's my line. With your line, you can do just like you do any other program. You can move it once you're on your select tool. You can shorten it. So you can kind of do all sorts of things with that. When you're done, we're going to have students download it to their Chromebook and submit it back to Google Classroom. There are several different ways to download. This is normally where kids go. I don't recommend this, and this is why. Because when I click on it, it gives them too many choices. Do I want the original with no annotations? Do I want the annotations that I've just made? Do I want it on my computer? Do I want it on Google Drive? That's too much. So I don't recommend that way. If they click on the disk, which most of them don't know what that means, right? If you click on the disk, you can download it. The first time, instead of getting this processing bar, it's going to ask if you allow the document to have access. So they would just say like yes, that they can. And this is what we're waiting for. Here's my Cami export down here. So when I click on it and I open it, notice that all my stuff is in there, all my annotations. I've got my comment if I want to look at that. And they can upload this directly to Google Classroom. You would have access to it. And so that's how I use Cami with my kids. I hope this helped. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions, and feel free to use the scavenger hunt if you find it useful. Thanks, y'all.